Breaking news. I know everyone's probably watching all the videos about Charlie Kirk, but I'm looking at an article right now from CNN that says Charlie Kirk has died, Trump says. What do you think, Jonathan?
Uh, it's hard, right? Like, the reality is, killing somebody leaves a hole in the world for at least some number of people. His wife, his three kids, if I remember correctly, they're all
And a
young.
new kid, right? Didn't he just have a baby recently?
Well, if that's the case, then it's four. And I think back to a friend of mine who passed a couple years ago. An amazing guy, three wonderful kids, great wife, just a light of everybody's lives. And I think about how hard it was for his kids and his wife, and the toll it took on friends and family, and it leads to a lot of suffering. And I'm not a fan of that suffering. I don't advocate for the hardened is going to generally miss him outside of probably four people. It's just being honest.
I would agree with that. I did a solo video before this, and I don't like Charlie Kirk. I don't like what he does. I don't like the narratives that he pushes. That being said, I don't want him to die. I don't think there's a place for political violence in our country. I just don't. I think we're better than that.
I don't know. Like, that's a hard topic, right? A
I think
lot
we're
of
better
the
than that. I
major
just feel that way as Americans. I think we should be above that.
and I'm curious, like, what path forward. Well, let's not leave Charlie Kirk for a second. I want to talk about the path forward for like real change after this. But the reality is, I went back and found on, was it Brainy Quote? They have a bunch of his quotes, and it's just standard MAGA pamphlet bullshit.
Yeah.
It's victimhood for you're pressing my views. It's fuck your liberties. It's I'm okay with bad things happening because the good things are more important. And it's just wishy washy. Like, he himself talked about, and this is one of the things he got in trouble for recently was, prior to Trump getting elected, it's like, yeah, we got to elect Trump and get the Epstein files out. And then later he goes, oh, I trust that the Trump and co are going to do the right thing on the Epstein
Well,
files.
that
It's
was
like,
Donald Trump tweeted out or truthed out around that time. I want everyone to stop talking about it. And Charlie Kirk was one of the first voices, maybe one of the only ones that I heard that actually came out and pushed that message. Like, guys, I'm going to go ahead and trust my friends in the government. Like, he
yeah,
listened to Trump.
and the fact that he didn't have a backbone or an original thought in his body from everything I can read, and it's just that standard I'm better than you, and then because it doesn't affect me, I don't care if it affects you mentality is kind of core to the MAGA drive in
Yeah,
my mind.
very entitled.
There's a lot of the what is for thee is not, or what is for thee is not for me kind of
Rules
thing,
for thee
which
and not
is,
for me.
yeah, or I'm better than you, or like,
He's a
what is that
very
I was
entitled
reading?
individual.
Hypocrisy is the main fuel for the MAGA movement. Like the oh, Sleepy Joe is sleeping again, and it's like, no, no. But if you look at Trump, he's sleeping all the time. The I'm going to condemn the other side for the things that they're actually doing is like staple. And if you look at his quotes, it's all that same shit. Like, look at this one quote. I was reading. It's too often teachers and professors misrepresent conservative viewpoints and intentionally muddle what it means to be conservative. Well, fucking yes, because humanity needs to play more of a role than being a conservative. And he talked about how it is the thing. Deaths by gun violence are the things we have to accept in order to have the Second Amendment be free. And it's like, well, fucker, you live by the sword, you got killed by the sword. And I feel bad for his wife and kids, but like, he advocated for this shit. Like, his
Yeah,
words
there's not a
hurt
lot to say. Like,
people.
this is the environment that you were egging
This
on. You
is
were
what
supporting.
he got bit by the monster he helped create, and that's the reality of it. And I feel bad for his wife and kids. I know they're going to suffer. I know others will. I feel bad for that they will suffer. But that guy was a sack of shit. Just being honest.
He
And
was.
he got bit. Now the other thing that I think we need to take forward is the MAGA shells kind of have a target on their back now with the worsening of the economy, the harder it is to struggle. And if you go look at almost any real number that's out there, and I'm not talking about the horse crap that some of the MAGA tries to peddle, but they're like, what was it? If you take out the top 10% earners in the United States, the average salary is like $36,000 a year or something like that. And if you look at rent is more than that on average. So, and if you compare it to the buying value of 50 years ago and how conservative values and MAGA values have played a role in that destruction of the American dream, like when people wake up and realize what's going on, yeah, this is kind of the shit that's going to happen. But the big thing is we're seeing an escalation pattern, and I don't know how I feel about it at the end of the day, to be honest.
I don't like it. Like, this scares me. And let me tell you this: do Charlie Kirk has to bear some of the responsibility for this. He literally travels on tour and he goes to campuses, sets up a tent, and literally just starts shit. That's what he's doing. He's rage baiting everyone around just for the
And
clips.
are you familiar with what he was talking about before this happened? He was literally in the
Trans?
middle of explaining how
I knew
trans
it.
was the cause of mass shootings. He was shot.
No
Like,
shit.
yeah,
Is
he
that a
was
fact? I
shot
did not
mid
hear that.
talking about the violence of the trans. It's like 0.1% of all mass shootings are trans. That means 99.9% are not, but you're going to, anyway,
That's
whatever.
so many.
But my point is, and there's like what, on average, 2 a day, 2.2 a day, or something like that, mass shootings a day. It's ridiculous. But guns aren't the problem. We have to accept the deaths, was what he literally said.
Do you think this changes the gun debate at all? That now that one of their own have been taken down?
No, because it's not them.
No,
It's
now they
somebody
need more.
else.
Now they need more
It's not
guns.
it. It's not anybody in charge. And honestly, at the end of the day, I think a lot of the people out there would be okay with gun deaths. Now, there's the counterpoint to Trump has talked about taking away guns from the mentally ill, and that is a very weird approach because Republicans literally reversed in the first month. Trump literally signed executive orders to get rid of legislation Democrats under Obama and Biden put in place to qualify the health of an individual before they could get their guns. And then Trump was like, free guns, and then rolled it back. And, now they're talking about like mentally ill people shouldn't have guns. It's like, okay, come on.
I
You're
kind of
just
support it.
bullshitting your populace is what you're doing. You're talking out of one side and you're doing something else. Actions don't match words. And at the end of the day, they only want to take guns away from the people that oppose them. And that's the antithesis of the Second Amendment. So we were talking about violence isn't a way forward. So let's take the two major ways this country has seen significant change: the violent way and the nonviolent way. The violent way was what the revolution was, the American Revolution. This country wouldn't exist without violence. If it hadn't been for violence, the United States would not be a thing. Just being honest. Slaves wouldn't be freed, and we wouldn't be a single country now had it not been for violence, a la the Civil War.
Civil rights. There was violence in the civil rights protest.
This country would not exist if it hadn't been for violence. World War I, World War II. Is that always the solution? Obviously not. Vietnam, Middle East, depending on your point of view and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure almost every single person watching this can say violence won here, violence failed here, and that's just the unfortunate stance of it. But the caveat is when MLK had his great dream and led a movement through nonviolence, people were able to humanize the other side. They were able to recognize the person next to him as not being inferior or superior
As
to
a
them.
human.
They were able to rationalize as human beings the value of another person enough to where it made it like, hey, maybe they should have these rights. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't. They're like me. And we've talked about this numerous times. Like the guy that the black guy that was playing at the bar became friends with the Ku Klux Klan member and ended up becoming friends with all of them and shutting down that whole KKK
The comedian? Is that a
group.
comedian's joke? Is that what
I
you're
thought
talking
he was
about?
a blues player.
I heard the same story, and I saw a movie about a lady in Durham, North
Yeah.
Carolina, way back in the
And
like 50s and 60s.
I heard another similar story about a guy in a restaurant. He
Yeah.
just sat down with
So
a guy at a restaurant.
what that describes is that it's just a faulty way of thinking, because most people are nice. When you get into a room with those you claim you hate, have an hour conversation with them and see if you don't have a million things in common. You
Yeah.
also have kids. You also like milk. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God, you don't want to die either?
yeah, like it's crazy how much we have in common with
And
everyone
that's
on the
why
planet.
and that's why I don't have any sympathy for him not being out of the world other than the pain his family is going to endure. Because if you go look at this whole list of these quotes, they're all aligned as motivating points to try to individualize us or try to win some talking point that they think is right. Like, political correctness is the deadliest political weaponry. It's like, oh my God, political correctness? Really? And the whole wokeism, the war on woke, is like, woke is literally and originally about respecting each other. That was the whole point of woke, was to recognize the hardship that people had been through.
Right. Look at some of his rhetoric. I just pulled up one of his tweets.
So here's they talking about an NBA player, and there was the NFL player. He got his career wrecked for doing this too. It's like, hey, I want to take a moment. Like, these guys literally took a knee for black rights, and he wants their lives destroyed. Charlie Kirk advocated for destruction of somebody's life over their principles. And you know what? That sounds ironic because that's what happened to him today. His life was destroyed because of his political rhetoric. He lived by the sword, he died by the sword. And I mean,
Do you think
I
this
hate
is going
for
to
somebody
radicalize a new movement of MAGA supporters? All the Charlie Kirk fans are going to now freaking go crazy and
so let's get to that in a second. So I do think there is an increase. So have you been paying attention to what's going on? Was it Nepal or something with the Gen Z uprising?
in nipple? No.
There's a country, oh my God, they were burning the Capitol building. They took the finance minister naked and carried him through the streets.
Jesus.
Like, they're destroying the government because of how corrupt they believe it is and how overrun it is. Like, Gen Z and millennials are now rising up and fighting with violence against the tyranny of the upper class. And I think what happened today is an example of that starting to happen here. We've seen people try to assassinate Trump. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying that it has
We
happened.
do not promote any political violence on the right or the left on this podcast or the McMedia Network or the Almost Above
I
Average.
would love a way for us to do this with some sanity, MLK style, but here we are. But you're starting to see more and more. And this is another example of the people that are being demonized because of their political views are getting attacked. Have we heard about it from the other side? Yes, we've heard about MAGA killing Democrats, like going to their house and shooting them in their home and their families,
Attacking them with a
or
hammer.
going to their house and attacking a husband of Nancy Pelosi with a hammer.
Do you remember the baseball game, the softball game in like 2016, 2017 where it was shot up?
Yeah, and this is getting more and more common. And I'm going to tell you, more guns ain't the solution. Lack of health care and lack of medical care ain't the solution. The rich getting richer ain't the solution. It's the fucking problem. And the corruption of what we're seeing out of the leadership of this country is the problem. And it's so down the corruption spiral and the corrosion of our ethics that I'm not sure like where it's going to go, but it feels like people are getting fed up and we're starting to get into eat the rich, which is something I've talked about repeatedly. Was it the French Revolution? The wealthy had gotten so wealthy.
You got a lot of comments on that, by the way, that you told the story wrong.
What?
You got a lot of comments on that when you told the story.
Why? What'd I say wrong?
I don't remember. I don't even know the story, but I remember that being one of them. Like that's not what it was, or something like that. I don't know the story, so I can't speak to it. But hey, if you made it this far in the video, please hit subscribe. We're just trying to make a pro-democracy content, another voice in the void. You know, help boost this, and let us know what you think in the comments too.
So, "eat the rich" is a phrase commonly attributed to the political philosopher something about the first popularized during the French Revolution in the 18th century. And I've seen pictures and depictions of them literally eating people. So "eat the rich" was a literal turn of phrase that became something else. But here we are. Rich people, hateful people are getting taken out by people that are fed up and can't take it anymore. And as wealth inequality grows, as the economy is diminished, as jobs go away, as people get hungrier and sicker, honestly, I told you before, I don't know how, with the corruption of our government, anything other than violence is going to make any great effect.
I'm worried that Charlie Kirk is going to become a martyr, and that's going to radicalize a certain segment of our population into doing God knows what. God knows what.
Maybe.
Hopefully not. MAGA, what do you guys think in the comments? How does the death of Charlie Kirk, how is that landing in your circles, MAGA? I genuinely want to know. Leave it in the comments, please.
And I would love to be able to see the uprising of the government's law enforcement, like The Supreme Court actually adhere to the intentions and the writings of the founding fathers instead of figuring out how to maneuver and interpret in a way to allows them to do what they want. To say things like, well, the Senate passed this law, it's not in the Constitution, therefore we're going to throw it out, is just horse's assery. Or, well, it's unreasonable to hold a president accountable for genocide. It's like, oh, come on, guys. It's ridiculous. I mean, we have what was it, RK said today or yesterday or today, I can't remember, that he's confident that the reason there's so many mass shootings is video games, even though,
God, he's such an idiot. We have idiots running our country.
I mean, y'all voted for this shit. I don't know what I'm going to do. He said it's video games. So what happens when he takes away video games? Are you guys okay with that? Take away video games? Do you think that's going to make? In fact, it's wild because there's been
They're going to take away video games before guns. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Every study has shown that video games do not increase violence. In fact, it's actually been shown the other way. Most people who are upset and violent when they start playing video games they release that aggression, the hormones settle down, and become less violent and less problematic. Like the studies have shown it, and there's like a dozen different studies that all prove the point.
Well, all right, let's leave it there. I got to get to a thing. Let us know what you think about the death of Charlie Kirk. And you know what? Honestly, my heart goes out to his family, genuinely. Prayers for his family. I don't want anyone to die in our country for political violence. Although he was spewing bullshit rhetoric the entire time, he didn't deserve to die. And we shouldn't be there as a nation. We shouldn't accept it as a nation. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't collectively accept that as a nation.
Wait, I want to read this. When the people shall have nothing more to eat, they will eat the rich. The rich that Rousseau was referring to was anyone in power. At this time, this was King Louis the 16th and the rest of the aristocracy. When the monarchs led glorious lives, the common people struggled to find moldy bread to feed their families. 98% of the population in France belonged to the third estate or the lowest class. Despite the size of the third estate, its members had little to no representation in government. Anyway, anybody that actually wants to know the story of it, go Google it. It's a really interesting story. If you think I told it wrong, maybe I did, but I'm pretty sure I hit it pretty close to the actual.
Well, you did today. You made up for it. All right, until next time, I'm Chris McIntyre, and that is J. Train McDougal's. Peace.